last week we talked about Moses. And Moses, we said, if you weren't here, I'm going to catch you up, okay? In Exodus chapter 1. Moses was born into problems. We talked about that. And he was born with somebody wanting him dead. But God made a way for him, and God will make a way for us. And so the number one thing we talked about last week was that you were not born wrong. That God created you just the way you are for a reason and purpose. And that if you are born into problems or you're in problems right now, that God has provided a way out already. We just need to follow Him. The second thing that we talked about is that Moses had secret sin in his life, so he was ashamed and he ran and he hid. And so we said that we have not sinned too big. If you weren't here last week and you didn't hear it, and you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I feel ashamed or I feel bad or you don't know what I did, God does know. And He sees and He says, I love you, I can forgive you, I can bring you freedom. And the third thing that we talked about was you can run, but you can't hide. And in that, we talked about how he was trying to run and hide, and the Lord said, I see you, I know, or He said, I see, I saw what you did, I know what you did, but I'm looking for you. And we talked about how that scares some people. But what He was trying to tell them in chapter 3 was He says, I've seen the suffering. I've seen what's been going on. I've heard your cries. And I have come down to deliver you out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey. He says, wherever you are right now, if it feels like a bad place and you want out of it, He says, when I come to you, even if you have sinned, when I come to you, even if you've done bad things or whatever, He says, my goal in your life is to take you to a better place. It's not to condemn you to hell. It's not to make you feel bad. It's to take you from where you are to a better place. And so we talked about how Moses had changed his name. I think we decided on Obi-Wan Kenobi last week. And God's telling him, all right. He says, what I want you to do, Moses, is I'm going to have you go to Pharaoh that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? He says, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? And God said, but Moses, I'll be with you. And this shall be a sign for you that I've sent you. And when you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve the God on this mountain. Then Moses said to God, if I come to the people of Israel and say to them, he's got all these excuses. And the girls are going to tell you some of their stories tonight and some excuses. But God was telling Moses, who was in hiding because he was in shame and he killed somebody, he was saying, hey, I want to use you to bring all the people out of slavery. I want to use you to change an entire nation. And I handed you a card tonight, and it's about the Southern Asia tour that these girls are about to go on. It's an 8-week mission trip, and some of you probably just threw that card out and were like, oh, God, this would not be for me. This is not something I could do. Missions is not for me. I want you to open up your mind tonight, because you're going to hear their stories, and you're going to hear some of the things that God has asked of them, and some of their excuses. But God is bigger. God can redeem us. And so anyway, I don't want to preach their message for them. But the title of the message tonight is, It's Not Me, It's You.
We've been talking about Moses and how the Lord has told him that he would be a part of something greater than himself. And of course that made Moses run and hide a little bit. Or a lot of it. And so I'm picking it up in Exodus chapter 4, verse 10 through 12. And it says, so back up. This is after the Lord has appeared to Moses at the burning bush and declares who He is to Moses. And so declares to Moses that he will see the wonders of the Lord. And so in the beginning of chapter 4, the Lord reveals His powerful signs to Moses through a staff. And so, to which Moses replies with, "O my Lord, I'm not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. Because Moses had a speech impediment, so that was his excuse of, okay, well, I've seen that you have done these miraculous things, and I have heard you proclaim who you are, but this is another excuse of why I feel like I am not adequate to do this. Then the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. And so, Moses' excuse I call a big nasty butt. And so, we all have big nasty butts. I have a big nasty butt. If you try to tell me you don't have a big nasty butt, you're lying, because I know you got one. Big nasty butts meaning, but Lord, I'm not smart. But Lord, I've done all these things in my past. But Lord, somebody else can do that better than me. But Lord, I'm not the best piano player. But Lord, I'm not the best singer. But. Big nasty butts. Got a lot of them, right? So, we have this tendency to make excuses when God calls us into a deeper relationship with Him, into deeper intimacy with Him. We have a tendency to create all these buts. And so, the big nasty buts that I have in my life in the past were, okay, Lord, but I can't lead worship because I am not qualified. I cannot lead worship. I don't deserve to be up on this stage to proclaim how great you are because of what I have done in the past. But He sees me and He says, no, you're qualified because I say you are. You're qualified because I made you. I made your mouth. And so therefore, the praises that come out of your mouth are for me. And the Lord showed me that it's not me that's actually capable of doing anything. It's Him, because He is the greater one and He is bigger than myself. He wants me to be a part of this, just like He wants each and every one of you to be a part of this, regardless of what you think your butts are. He is greater. So He wants me to be a part of this, just so how He so desperately wants you to be a part of this too. Wants you to lay down the butts that you have and just surrender into what He's calling you into. And what He's calling you into is a deeper relationship with Him, whatever that means. And so He thinks that you are qualified, and He knows that you have so much to offer in the kingdom of God. And so I just if we only saw ourselves the way that the Lord sees ourselves, the way that the Lord saw Moses, when Moses was making up all of these excuses saying why he wasn't qualified, but the Lord was like, no, you don't understand how much I love you and how much I have made you to do this. So, if only you guys saw, how the Lord saw each and every one of you, then you would be unstoppable. If we only ever saw, how the Lord saw us when He created us, then we would be able to reach the nations, because we would not have the enemy knocking on our door telling us that we aren't qualified and telling us that we can't go out, because the Lord knows that we, are so loved, and He sees us. And so, that's the encouragement that I feel like the Lord is giving through this specific piece of Scripture is even though we don't see ourselves as qualified, He does, and He gives us a reason to go and pursue whatever He's called us to do.
So my freshman year of high school was when God called me into ministry, and at the time, I never really knew what missions or anything like that was. I came from a family that just wasn't a thing. They weren't churchgoers. They didn't know what missions was. They didn't even know what a pastor, nothing there. So that was a really new thing for me too. My family started having me go to church when I was 5, and I really grasped onto that and got called my freshman year to missions. I didn't know in what capacity. But then as the years went on in high school, my junior year hit, and I really started struggling with both anxiety and depression a lot. And to the point that I also struggled a lot with loneliness and feeling isolated, and I pushed everyone that was important to me away at the time. And then my senior year came, and it was time to decide what I was going to go to school for. And God was still working in the midst of that, and He said, I want you to go into psychology. I was like, oh, hang on. I just got used to missions, okay? And I'm not even qualified for that. But you're going to tell me to grow with depression, anxiety, is going to do psychology? How does that work? How do I counsel people when I'm struggling like this? How do I counsel people? So I go ahead and I go to junior college for psychology. And in that same year, my very first semester, my freshman year of college, I ended up deciding that I did not need to be on a school anymore. And I was going to attempt suicide 2 weeks before Christmas. And still, God came to me and rescued me and said, I know that you think you cannot do psychology because of these things. And I know you can't think you can't do missions because of past sins, because I dealt with a lot of sins. I dealt with some sexual temptations. I dealt with all these things and dealing with greed and dealing with pride and dealing with all these things. And yet God still said, I have a calling on your life. And I want you to go and minister, and I want you to counsel, because that's who I'm calling you to be, and I don't care what you have done, because I'm greater. And so the specific scripture I want to go into, Moses is asking, he's got a lot of buts. He's got a lot of reasons why he just can't do it. It says that in Exodus 3, verse 11, it says, but Moses protested to God, who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? And he begins to question God of like, oh, but God, I can't do that. Who am I? I murdered a guy. I have a speech impediment, and you want me to go speak to the entire people and rescue them and bring them to redemption? That doesn't seem possible. But God comes in and God answers, I will be with you, and this is your sign, that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. So God basically says, I'm going to have a really big sign there for you that's going to tell everybody who I am. But then you continue, and Moses still has questions. And he says, but Moses protested, if I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they will ask me, what is his name? Then what should I tell them? So he's like, okay, God, sure, I'll do it. But then who do I tell them sent me? And God responds, I am who I am. That is who you tell sent me. It says, say to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my eternal name, my name to remember for all generations. I think when we read that, we're like, I am, like that's literally all he's going to tell them. Like we hear it as God, but he's like, listen, I am, because you are not. Like I am, because when you say, yeah, but God, he goes, I know, but I am. I got you. I'll fill you. I got it. So in the times that I felt like depression wasn't going to do it, he looked at me and said, yeah, but I'm going. So you go ahead and you counsel, and I'll teach through you, and I'll work through you. And that's not going to matter. We'll work through that. He looked at my past sins that I dealt with, and he said, I can redeem that. I can heal that. Will you just tell me yes? Because I am God. I am who I am. I can fill that. And there's no questions asked. And that's the coolest thing about, like, Anna Kay said it so well, and I really, I see you guys, and the thing is that you guys have an awesome plan set out before you. Like, God looks at you, and he sees something amazing. He's going to use you in ways you could never imagine. And it may be something that's going to make you uncomfortable, but that's how he likes it. He wants you a little bit uncomfortable because he wants to show you who he is, because he is awesome. And he can do the impossible. And he wants to do that in your life if you would just be willing to say yes to that. And so in the end, God kind of has the final but. Like, you can give him all your excuses, but he'll fill it in, I promise. Also, as far as this trip goes, this is my very first mission trip ever. And I signed up. I could have signed up for a 2-week trip. And I signed up for an 8-week trip. I have never been on an airplane. I honestly avoided Southern Asia. When I planned my trip, I was going to go to Latin America, or Africa, or Europe. And once again, God had the final but. And now I'm going to Southern Asia for 8 weeks. And God planned it so perfectly. I had an RA that's from Sri Lanka, and I had a roommate from India, and I learned so much from them and fell in love with their places. And that's what God does. He did it for Moses too. He brought Aaron into Moses' life, and now we see and Aaron did the speaking for Moses, and then he used these people, and yeah, it took time. Man, God brought redemption to the Israelites, and it was amazing and beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and have Anna Kay come back up. But I don't know what your but is for God. And I can't tell you what He's telling you, but you know, deep in your heart, what He wants for you, even just here and now. I'm not even talking about the future. But whatever it is, if maybe you're saying, yeah, but listen, you don't know what my family's past is like. You don't know what I'm like. How can you say that? How can you say that I can do that? Because God can. Okay? And then you're like, oh yeah, but God's calling me to speak and I can't speak. Anna Kay got up here, okay? And she was nervous. But God's bigger and she spoke power. That's what's cool. And if maybe it's that you're dealing with some sort of temptation, maybe whether it be pornography or whether you're having sexual temptation or pride or greed. I don't know what it is that's going on in your life or what's going on in your head. If you're dealing with depression or anxiety, God is so much bigger. And the thing is that Jesus died because He loved you so much and because He looked at you. He knew you were existing before He even died on that cross and said, I'm dying for them. Knowing that you will mess up, knowing that you're going to have issues, He said, but I love them and I am, so I'm going to sacrifice myself for them. So that you guys can do something so much greater and so much bigger. But you cannot do it alone, you have to do it with it. So I want to be able to invite some of your leaders up to be able to, we're just going to kind of have a time of prayer with you guys. I'll be up here. If maybe you're like, I don't know about this whole God thing, can we pray with you? Can we help you out with that? And if you're like, okay, so God did call me to this thing, maybe you're looking at these cards and you're like, God's kind of starting to work something there. You're like, ooh, missions, that'd be okay. Let us pray with you about that. If you have something in your mind like, yeah, but I have this but, I have some issues that I don't know if God really can use. Let us pray with you, because I promise He can. And I promise He's got an incredible call in your life. If you want to know that, we'd love to be here to pray with you for that. So you are more than welcome to come up here and stand with us and pray. Oh,
good we can sing, or how good we can play the piano, or how bad we sing, or how bad we are. It's not anything to do with who we are, but it's who He is. The title of the message was, It's Not Me, It's You. So if you do anything good, if you go out and you lead great worship, or you pray with people, or you start a good business, anything that God's calling you to do, or if you become a missionary, whatever it is, doesn't have anything to do with you or how good or not good you are. It's who He is. See, we have those yeah buts. Like when they were talking about today, they're like, yeah, but I can't do this. Yeah, but I can't do that. And our final point tonight was that God's butt is bigger than ours. Because He says, but I'm God, but I'm big, but I love you, but I'm strong, but I can do it. So I'm going to close this out in prayer and you can be dismissed. But man, dig in. Listen to this song when you get home again. I love this song. It's called Reckless Love. It's by a guy named Corey Asbury. So if you just Google it. And I'm going to pray over your week of camp because I won't see you again before then. And then you guys remember to pray for us while we're gone, okay? Dear Jesus, I thank you for every person in this room. Lord, the leaders, Lord, the guests. God, I thank you, Lord, for my team. God, I pray tonight, Lord, that each one of us would leave here in the assurance of who you are in our lives. You're our forgiver. You're our healer. You're our strength. You're our redeemer. And so, God, I pray over them tonight, Lord, that they will truly know that you will do anything to come after them because you love them and because you want to bless them. And God, I pray, Lord, over their services for the rest of the summer, and I pray, Lord, over youth camp. Lord, fill them up with more of you. Lord, let them hear your voice louder than they hear mine right now. Change hearts, change minds, change lives. I pray that when I come back at the end of this summer, that I can ask them what God did, and even though it'll be August, that they'll still be able to say, God forgave me, God freed me, God changed me, and God called me. And that's what we'll pray over them this summer. Be with us as we travel to Southern Asia, and be with them, Lord, as they get to just enjoy summer and follow you, and get them safely home tonight. In your name we pray. Amen.